Niger instructs police to forcefully expel the French ambassador. Niger's military government has issued an order for the police to forcibly expel the French ambassador, following the ambassador's public refusal to leave Niger.
The French ambassador in Niger is on the run. He is, I mean that, he is on the run from the police now because he refuses to leave the country. I mean, I've never in my life seen something so embarrassing. I've never seen such low behavior from a diplomat. Maybe the American ambassador in Syria and Lebanon, they also like to behave like this. But seriously, I want to show you what's going on. Today, the government in Niger released this this document. I posted it earlier. Okay, so this document was a letter informing the French that the foreign ministry in Niger, the foreign ministry in Niger has suspended the French ambassador's visa and his diplomatic credentials. Okay, so the French ambassador in Niger right now is no longer a diplomat, and he has no right to be in the country. Even as a regular person, he has no right to be in the country. Now, let me explain why this happened. This happened because last week, here's the other document. Last week, you can see on the 25th of August, they asked the French ambassador to come, to meet them at the foreign ministry. They summoned him for a meeting. Now, if you are the foreign ministry in Niger, you have every right on earth to summon any ambassador in your country. It's your country. They are your guest. Okay? So when the foreign ministry says, you come, I'm summoning you, you run. You fucking run tomorrow morning. You don't even wait for the goddamn... You run there. What does the French ambassador do? Look at this arrogance. He gets this document, and he doesn't even come to the meeting. He doesn't respond, and he doesn't come to the meeting. He's in Niger. This is not his country. He is in Niamey. It's not his country. And then in Paris, they're backing him up. They're saying, no, we don't recognize the junta, the military junta in Niger, right? They say this is not the real government. We will only talk to Bazoum. And then they say that we support what the ambassador is doing. He is good of him. He is right. He is correct not to speak or engage in any capacity with this foreign ministry because it is illegitimate. Illegitimate, they say. Let me show you the clip. So this is Macron. This is Macron defending his ambassador.
And we should not espouse the narrative that France is Niger's enemy. The problem is the leaders of this coup d'etat, who is the people behind the coup d'etat, who are abandoning reform, who are abandoning the fight against terrorism, and in fact are abandoning the interest of its civilians. If we don't say that loud and clear, who will? So let's not be overly simplistic. And our policy is simple.
Man, he's really funny. Remember what I told you? Like, they're going to try and sell themselves?
Do not recognize the people behind the coup d'etat. We support the president who has not resigned. We stand firm beside him. And we support the diplomatic action and the possibly military strategy of ECOWAS.
Right, so he's saying we support the invasion and all this stuff, and this is at the conference. This is in Paris. Macron is giving a conference to his ambassadors, right, and defending both Macron and his spokesperson defending the French ambassador in Niger, who by the way looks like this. Not much of a mug, is it? Right, Sylvain Ité, that's his name. This is the French ambassador to Niger, and now this guy is on the run. He is literally on the run because the government in Niger have told the police to arrest him and kick him out of the country. Expulsion. That's the exact word they did. Kick out. He's persona non grata, right? Persona non grata. That means you are not welcome in the country. Even as a tourist. Out. Get out. I mean, look, man. Any person, just a regular person, would be humiliated by this. Really humiliated. Like, you would just leave and get the fuck out the country now, right? This guy is not only a foreigner in Niger. He is the ambassador. That means he represents Emmanuel Macron and the entire French country. He is their representative in Niger. And remember, this is a former colony. So it's not just any country telling you get out and he still refuses. This is France, the country that colonized Niger, that still colonizes Niger, refusing to get out. Business as usual. We're not leaving. So he didn't come to the meeting, as I told you. What was the next step? The government in Niger, the coup leaders, they told him, you have 48 hours to leave the country. What do you think he did? He ignores it. He completely ignores it. And once again, in Paris, they're buffing him and backing him up and saying, no, he is right not to listen to this junta, and we will not legitimize these coup leaders, blah, 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 blah. And so now, the government in Niger said, look, you ignored our request to meet. You wouldn't even come to a meeting at the foreign ministry. You ignored our directive to leave the country calmly and peacefully within 48 hours. Now we will cancel your visa and we will cancel your diplomatic credentials. You are persona non grata. Get out of the country. So the police have every right to arrest him. Remember, the Vienna Convention only affords diplomatic personnel, ambassadors or otherwise, immunity if they are actually recognized as diplomats in the country. He is no longer a diplomat in this country. Maybe he's a diplomat in France, but not in Niger. His credentials are gone. When you arrive to a new country, to a new posting or a new mission, you go to the foreign ministry and you receive your credentials from the host country. Those credentials have been withdrawn. I mean, you can see it's not just some random paper. This is an official document from the foreign ministry of Niger, and it bears the seal and everything, right? So I know in Paris they don't want to accept that this is the government. It's the government. I'm sorry. I was just talking a few minutes ago how you had coups by military officers in Arab countries, like Hafez al-Assad, who was the father of Bashar al-Assad, or Gaddafi in Libya. Yeah, there were coups. So what? At one point or another, the whole world recognized these guys are the legitimate government. To this day, right? That's it. That's how it is. So, you need to get over it. But they're not over it in Paris. They're not over it. No, by a long shot. So now the French ambassador is literally on the run. I can imagine he's hiding like some weasel in the French embassy, because that's the last place in Niger where he could possibly be and avoid arrest. Unless the government in Niger decide to completely cut ties with Paris, which I don't think they will do, but who knows? Maybe we're in for an early Christmas. Unless they do that, they cannot go in the embassy. You have to respect the embassy. The embassy, however big it is, the embassy is France in Niger. Just like the Egyptian embassy is also a part of Egypt in Niger. You're not allowed to go inside. You must protect it. On the contrary, you have to protect it. And yes, the ambassador could seek refuge in the embassy, of course, just like any French person could seek refuge there. But the thing is that he should have just left. He's not like some. It's not like Julian Assange in the Ecuadorian embassy, who's like some heroic journalist hiding from the most powerful country on earth, the United States, trying to snatch him away and put him in prison, unjustly and unfairly. This is not the case. This is just some measly, looking weasel, some French ambassador in Niger who refuses to leave the country. I mean, I've never seen such pathetic behavior. Grow up. Another person would have just left the country. No one wants to even arrest you. They don't want anything to do with you. Just leave their country. Take a hint. Take a hint and just go. This is incredible. This is really embarrassing behavior. All the other ambassadors in Niger must be looking at this guy and saying, "What is wrong with you? Just get out." And I want you to think of the meaning of this. The connotation that the French colonized Niger, and as we all know, they are still in Niger. And I mean this in every sense of the word. They control Niger's economy, their currency, their resources, particularly uranium. They have troops in Niger and military bases, and even now in 2023, when the French claim that Niger is independent, thank you so much. Even when they claim that they do not have any colonies in Africa, they still refuse to leave. They refuse to close down the military bases, right? That's what they were told. And even the ambassador refuses to leave. I can understand a military base, even though it's wrong, just strategically for the French in their minds. You can understand in their logic why they would insist on keeping the military base, because a military and 1,500 forces projects power. What does this guy project? He's a weasel. He doesn't project any power. Just leave the country, man. You're a fucking nobody. Oh my god. Oh wow. What a scene. What an unnecessary scene. It's so embarrassing. He's really put the spotlight on this whole thing. So embarrassing. If you needed any proof that France still colonizes Niger, I mean, you didn't need to wait for this coup. You could have just looked at the factors I told you, the economy, the uranium. But this really, I think, underscores it. Like, no one can deny this now. They are being told in the politest terms, please close your bases, take your troops and go home to France. And you, the ambassador, you must also leave, because you did not come to our meetings and you refused the first directive where we gave you 48 hours to leave. Come on, man, go home. The Russians and the Americans many times have kicked each other's diplomatic personnel out of the country. Many times. Happens all the time. It will still happen and continue to happen. Just take it like a man and go home. No one makes an issue out of it. You don't, even the Russians and the Americans, who are like really at each other's throats, they don't do this stuff. They don't go hide in the embassy and refuse to leave the country. This is so ridiculous. Oh my god, man. I'm done. I'm really done. So funny. And if you're wondering why they want him to leave so bad, I'll tell you why. Because he's hostile. The government, the junta, as the French want to say, the new government in Niger have viewed his actions as being hostile. And, this is obviously because as ambassador, he's running a spy station, period. Especially for France, definitely for France, he's running a spy station in Niger. And so, he will be helping the military bases to coordinate their activities. And he is responsible to a certain degree for France's presence in Niger, without question. Not all of it, but to a very substantial degree. He is at the very least the face of it, yes? And putting this aside, just let's talk about diplomatic protocol. When the host country summons the guest country, right? So when Niger tells Mr. Ambassador of France, come to the foreign ministry, you go. You have to go. You're a guest in the country. You have to go. And any country that would ignore this, would already raise eyebrows. I mean, 2 months ago, when the American ambassador to South Africa, he accused South Africa of harboring, weapons for Russia, and then or helping Russia to transfer weapons into the combat zone through South Africa. Right? He said that a ship docked at Port Elizabeth, and they put arms on it, and he made up some ridiculous lie. The next day, he was at the foreign ministry, at the South African foreign ministry, being, dressed down, a démarche, as they call it, by the South African foreign ministry, who's a lovely, lovely lady, right? The next day, and they even put out a photo, where she's looking at him, what the fuck did you say? The next day, this is the United States of America. Doesn't matter. The ambassador goes to the foreign ministry. You do what you're told. You're a guest in this country. No, the French ambassador thinks, they're above everybody, nose up in the air. No, we're not going. We refuse to recognize you because you're not our stooge. What arrogance! What arrogance! And in a so-called former colony, what arrogance! That's disgusting. That's really disgusting. I mean, they're so hell bent on showing how arrogant they are. And I want to show you people protesting outside the military bases every single day. They are outside the military base saying, "You have a few days. You only have a few more days till we start storming the base. Leave our country." Look what it says down there. It says "Vive le peuple nigérien libre et souverain." So long live the Nigerian people, free and sovereign, and down with France and its and its vassals. Remember, activists, protesters, remember this. Your cooking pot is the most valuable tool in your arsenal, okay?